For the best of investing, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Brian Burke of Praxis Capital and Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money. And we're in the studio here with Kate Collins from Gaia Energy Systems teaching us about solar. Question. Melanie Griffith's mother was well known for starring in an Alfred Hitchcock film. Who is she? Anyone? Do you remember The Birds?
The lady that gets the knife?
No, that's Psycho. No, this was Tippi Hedren.
Oh.
And, I got a quick little funny story about that. I was doing some kind of dancing in this movie made for Hallmark Hall of Fame. And Mark Harmon was in it. He's married to Pam Dauber. And they had the camera and they had the arms on the camera because it's like a close-up of him dancing with it, right? So she's standing next to me and the arms are these mechanical arms. So I look over and I go, don't be jealous of those arms. You're a lot better dancer than that machine. Anyway, she laughed. Got a kick out of it. Okay. Kate, you're telling us all about solar, and I got a quick question for you about commercial solar. When does it make sense for commercial buildings?
Almost always.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, the biggest prohibitator with commercial is the roofs. So if your roof is not strong enough, or if you've got too many obstructions on it, it's just not going to work. I mean, we have a customer who owns a restaurant, really wants solar, and we just can't do it. There's too much junk on the top of his roof.
Well, what about all that's one part. The other part would be, I guess, a lot of trees blocking
Yes.
it. And permits. Theoretically, you would think that cities would be very easy about giving permits for those.
All depends on the city.
Yeah.
We work all over Northern California, and I won't say who the bad cities are.
Yeah, that's probably
but they're out there.
But a lot of the cities and a lot of the counties really are working with companies to make solar, the permitting process, more streamlined and simpler. But some permitting offices can be a challenge.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I have a question. I've seen financing available for solar, but I've also now started to see people talking about leasing solar systems. And I was curious, what's the difference between financing and leasing, and what are the benefits of each of those?
Okay, well, financing it's the average vehicle. The biggest drawbacks to financing, of course, is you've got to have good income, you've got to have good credit, you've got to have equity in your house. If you don't have all three of those things, you're probably not going to get a traditional solar loan. Now, there is financing that actually is unsecured, but then you've got to have really good credit.
Yeah, you guys don't provide financing.
We do have financing tools, and we absolutely have leases, and we've got two phenomenal leases, and the leases are really exciting because there's zero money down, you're net cash flow positive from day one, and this brings you back to that question about how much should your bills be. For leases, your bills probably need to be about $150 a month, but if you've got $150 a month in power, we can get you into a lease, and it doesn't matter if you're upside down on your house. It doesn't matter if your income is not, too high, as long as you have a good credit score. If you've got 700 or over, we can get you into a lease.
I mean, that's basically zero risk.
Yeah, there's no risk at all.
Yeah.
So if you were to do a lease like that, do you guys charge for the energy consumption, or is it charged just based off the cost of the system?
No, the way it works, it's actually it's backed by a large financial company, okay, and they actually carry the lease, so they own the system. Okay, and so they're taking advantage of the fact that they have the federal tax credit that they can take advantage of. They've got the rebate, they get that as well.
Sure.
And so they're taking all of that. They deduct that out of the cost of the system, which lowers the cost, that you're going to be paying for the lease.
But you pay I think your question is, do you pay a set amount, or do you say, okay, well, my bill was really high this month, so they get
you pay a set amount.
So they're not metering the power that comes out of the solar system to
determine what your payments are going to be. No.
And is there any guarantee on that? Do they guarantee that it'll be a positive?
Yeah, they guarantee power production. So what they do is we design the system, and then it's a guarantee that says you're absolutely going to get this many kilowatt hours per year, guaranteed.
That's great. I look at my meter, and I keep liking when the arrow is pointing toward the street and not to me.
Like going backwards.
But now, Brian, you said at the break there was some really interesting thing with the lenders.
I did?
You did.
Oh, you were talking about the Skype program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was talking about that. Yeah,
don't make me look bad on that.
I know. See how long my memory is? I've seen some counties, I know Sonoma County does this, and I think other counties have followed suit, where they've had lending programs that are sponsored by the counties in some fashion, where you can pay the loan back in conjunction with your property taxes. And again, it doesn't matter if you're upside down in the house, etc. But but I've also seen that there's been some problems with that from home lenders objecting to debt going into a senior position to them. So can you talk a little bit about whether that's a viable program currently, or if that's kind of yesterday's news?
No, it absolutely is going on. Sonoma County is the leader in that. It's happening. Some of the other counties are following suit, but because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac said, "Oh no, no, no,"
They're filing suit.
yeah, exactly. So for a lot of counties, they just said, "Okay, we're going to wait and see how this plays out." But Sonoma County, it's a very strong program. You cannot be upside down in your house, though. You absolutely have to have equity in the house. You also have to prove energy efficient measures, and the loan is at 7%.
So when you look at all these different options, it sounds like leasing is a pretty
yeah.
attractive way
Leasing,
to
that's
go.
the one that's pretty exciting.
Leasing is really attractive.
So now, when the lease comes due, do they take it off the house, or
You have two options. It's a 20-year lease.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So, and the great thing about the lease, another great thing about it is
transferable to the new.
it is transferable
yeah.
to a new homeowner. Okay, or you can buy it out if you sell the house. Okay. The other thing is you're going to have to replace your inverter at some point during those 20 years.
Okay.
With the lease, they do that.
Well, how much is an inverter?
Depends on the size of the system. Anywhere
Okay.
from
Let's say a 5 kilowatt.
residential 5K to about $3,000.
Yeah, so that's a big gap.
It's a chunk of change.
Edward's thinking, why didn't I lease?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is leases have been available for about 5 years, but when they first came out, I looked at what was out there in the market and I went, these are not good for my clients. Now, that was my personal choice.
Yeah.
In the last year, what we've seen is leases have just gone crazy, and there are some leases that I don't think are as good. That's why my company doesn't carry them.
Okay.
But there are some that are really phenomenal, and there are some companies doing just amazing things with leases.
Well, it really helps when you get these tax credits. That especially if you don't need them, and the leasing
Yeah.
company does.
Yeah.
And before I forget, Kate, because people are I'm sure going to have questions for you. How do they get a hold of you and want to learn more about solar and get a bid from you? I guess.
Oh, great.
And
Okay.
what can you give our listeners? A 2-for-1? No, just kidding.
2 for 1. No. No.
2 houses for the price of 1. No.
That's easy in today's market.
Yeah.
Right. Well, first thing, how to get in touch with us. 2 ways. I'll give you our toll-free number. We are in Santa Rosa as well as up in Mendocino County. Toll-free is 877-424-2776. And of course, you can see us on the web at www.GaiaEnergySystems.com. And that is GAIA EnergySystems.com.
Good. And for those of you who are listening too quickly here, can you listen too quickly? I don't know. We're going to have this on YouTube at Best of Investing Radio Show, and then we'll also have podcasts available pretty soon for the listeners on www.bestofinvesting.com.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Kate, thank you very much for joining us here in the studio. Guys, let's see here. Let us cut to our third and final trivia question commercial break. When we come back, we'll get into email time and then talk about what is going on with interest rates. Holy smokes, 2014.
Yes.
All right. And then also we'll have the special trivia contest for the giveaway. Okay, here's the third and final trivia question. She is known for being Hannah Montana, but who is her father? The first 3 callers with, you know this one? But it's not a NASCAR question.
I know.
I don't understand. Okay. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190, and don't be singing it to us, sir. Okay, that's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. She's known for being Hannah Montana, but who is her father? Again, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number, and remember to speak slowly and spell out your information for us, please. And we will be right back.
Mr. Akey.
Good.
Very much. Appreciate that.
Kate, thank you very much.
Smile and nod.
I'm rolling.
You're rolling. All right, and away we go.
Speed.
Here we go. Welcome! You're listening to the Best of Investing on News Talk 910, sponsored by Pacific Trade Exchange. Check them out at pacifictradeexchange.com, your best in trade. If you're a regular listener, you know this show is where we present valuable information about the real estate market, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And for those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience, listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm honored to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Now write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco, and the vacations are free. They only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is, raunchy movies. Put the kids away, audience. All right, our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. And also, we are now on Comcast Channel 26 every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 6 p.m. Watch us and see what we all look like. And
That's scary.
That's scary.
Or not.
World Routes in Corte Madera and Santa Clara is still giving our listeners a free smoothie if you purchase a wrapper bowl. If you mention the show, The Best of Investing, go there for lunch. And today we have an extra special guest. His name is Joel Yanowitz. And Joel is a business consultant who is going to share how to take effective action towards reaching your goals and aspirations. Joel, welcome to The Best of Investing.
Thanks, it's great to be here, Edward.
Okay. Now, you started consulting with executives in large corporations. How did you transition to entrepreneurs and smaller growth companies?
Great question. We started when we were working with executives. One of the issues they were facing was how to innovate and how to grow their markets, grow their businesses in unknown territory.
Okay.
We started looking, who knows about that? Who knows something about how to get things done when you're dealing with situations of unpredictability, unknowability? In fact, I'm guessing many of your listeners find themselves looking at life and saying, boy, it sure isn't what it used to be. When they're looking to try to get something started, they're not sure about how to get started, they're not sure about how to manage the risks. These were the same things these executives were facing, and we started to look towards entrepreneurs, and particularly successful serial entrepreneurs, ones who'd not just gotten lucky once, but had built several companies. And that's what led us to the entrepreneurs market.
Hey, Joel, is there a particular mindset or way of approaching challenges that you find is common among successful entrepreneurs?
There is. Probably the most important one is a bias for action. We found that successful entrepreneurs don't spend a lot of time thinking about what to do. Their bias is to do something and then learn from it, and based on what they learn to then build on it.
So one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about when I started my company was whether or not I should leave my job that was paying the bills and just go out on my own and cut the strings. So, what advice do you have, or what factor would you say would point somebody towards making that move versus maybe not making that move?
I would say wait as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Now, I'll say why. There are several myths we have in our society about entrepreneurs, and one of them is that they're big risk takers. And it turns out that entrepreneurs are not risk takers as much as they are risk minimizers. So I would counsel you to say, how do you take your idea and advance it as far as you can? Get some customers, get feedback, figure out how to market the product or service, whatever you're offering.
Get a little income, maybe.
Get some income going. Build it up as far as you can till you can't get it any further without quitting your job. Not just for the financial security, but also sometimes when people start a business and start moving in a direction, they have some fantasy about how much they're going to love doing this. And a number of the people I've worked with have found that once they start building an idea, it's not all they thought it was going to be. And it turns out that the idea changes quite a bit to be something that, to make it something they actually want to do.
Well, especially like a restaurant. Someone says, I love to cook, so I want to own a restaurant.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that maybe the point that you do that is the point where you realize that going to work at your normal job is costing you more money than it's making you by going to work because of the time you're not spending and devoting to your business?
Costing you more money and costing you more satisfaction.
Yeah.
The whole idea, the whole point of starting a business, besides financial security, is that you're actually doing something with your life that you enjoy and is more fulfilling and rewarding.
Right, absolutely.
So, Joel, how are you working with your clients? Do you consider yourself a coach or a mentor or a consultant, or how are you working with clients?
Yes.
All three.
Well,
and more.
I'd say the simple answer is it's less about coaching, consulting, or mentoring, and more about what is the set of results that you're trying to create, and where do you feel stuck? What's holding you back? And then if that's a coaching relationship or if that's more project-based consulting, and in some cases it is more mentoring, but I really try to build my relationships around the specific aspirations and concerns that the individual has that's coming to me.
So it sounds like you're working not only with aspiring entrepreneurs, but obviously with people who have taken that step and are maybe finding that there's just a few challenges out there being in business for yourself.
Yes.
Well, yeah, being an entrepreneur is really tough. So what keeps people motivated through the ups and downs of creating their business through something new?
Two things I think really keep people going. One is that they have to actually love what they're doing. Not that you have a great time every day. I mean, we all know anyone who's run a business knows that it's not all fun and games. But beneath all that, you have to have a genuine interest in what you're doing and a genuine love of the business itself.
Okay, take that back though. It is all fun and games around here when we do the show.
This is the exception.
Okay, this is the exception.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other thing is people have a different relationship to what I'd say current reality. So things don't always go the way you want. And if you deal with that, if you react to that with disappointment or anger or frustration or resentment, it's very de-energizing. The successful entrepreneurs look at it and go, okay, this is what we did. We did it in order to get, we did X to get Y result, and we didn't get Y. We got something else. Let's learn from that. How do we, the old lemonade thing, how do we make lemonade out of these lemons?
Well, it's just also 5% of what happens to you and 95% of how you react to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right, and I loved in your website when I was looking up some information on you earlier, Joel, it says, you've got a sentence in there that says, clearly if you want different results than those you are getting now, something has to change. That reminds me of one of my favorite Jim Rohn quotes, which is, success is something you attract by the person you become, meaning that to affect change, you have to change who you are. You have to grow as a person, and I know as someone who's, been a kind of, myself being a personal student of personal development, that was easy for me to say. It's the changes that I've made and the envelopes that I've pushed and going outside my comfort zone that has caused real growth and effective change in my business.
Yeah, very true. And it's tough when you're caught up in the day-to-day demands of your business to actually pay attention to your own growth as a leader.
So how do you help people? Do you work with people on things like as basic as goal setting? Because I know, like for me, my experience in my own challenges in my own small businesses, even as the simple goal setting things is something that I thought I knew how to do it, but really it wasn't working effectively until I worked with a coach.
Oh, interesting. It can be goal setting. For some people, the goals are very clear, and other people actually have trouble figuring out what success would look like. So it may be actually getting very clear about what success means to you, what it would look like in different time frames. Mm-hmm. Other people have a greater difficulty with current reality, actually seeing things as they are, whether that's financial information or the relationships with their people in their business or their leadership team, all of those kinds of things. So some people it's that, and other people it's being able to figure out next steps and smart actions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks a lot, Joel. We're going to have you back in the second segment here. We're going to have to come to our first commercial break, and remember the theme, trivia theme is raunchy movies.
No sports. I'm
no
so
sports.
disappointed.
Okay, we got one hard question and two easy ones, in my opinion. Okay, this is the hard one. What was the name of the hockey team Paul Newman, but it is sports, I guess. What is the name of the hockey team Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What was the name of the hockey team that Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and speak slowly and spell out your email address for us. And we'll be right back. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, and I actually had kind of a follow-up
Great.
with it, because for me it wasn't so much, okay, I want to earn $50 million in origination fees this year, write that down on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
stick it in a file, and never look at it again. It was, what do I do? How do I focus on what's the most important thing that I should be doing this week, today, hour
okay.
by hour. That's the hardest thing that I've found is, you know, I'm 3 years into a new business, and you know, got 6 employees and all these things going on, and now it's just, there's so much to do, and I can spend time being the technician, to use a E-Myth phrase,
Yeah.
the manager, or the entrepreneur. And I know that I should spend 80% of my time doing entrepreneurial stuff and 20% doing the management and the technical, but guess what? No matter what I know, I still end up defaulting to 80% technical and 20% entrepreneurial.
Isn't that the point where your business has kind of reached this weird plateau?
It's
where,
the weird
you know,
plateau.
You've kind of climbed
where I'm
up.
not- yeah,
and then,
I'm not
you know,
making
where
enough
do
money
you
to
go
hire
from
new
here?
people,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
so sorely need a personal assistant and another this and another that and another that.
And then you're like, now how am I going to pay for that?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's going
right,
to take
right.
out of the income.
Yeah, because I hit my, you
Two
know.
things you just said, that the business is a reflection of will be limited by your own personal leadership. So who do I need to be running a $5 million company instead of $1.5 million?
Absolutely. No, and that's so
And then what are
true.
the systems we need in
Yeah.
place to support it? Yeah.
And it's always about expanding your comfort zone, isn't it? I mean, the only way your business is growing is if you're outside your comfort zone a little bit. At least that's always been my experience.
Yeah.
I'm always pushing the boundaries.
Otherwise, you
of
get
my
complacent.
comfort zone. You get complacent. Yeah, and then you just kind of get comfortable, and you stop growing.
Oh,
Well, it's true, and for me, it was public speaking, because I've known for a couple of years now that I needed to be an evangelist for private money, and I had to find what is it that I have to offer, because I
you go
can't
now?
just go out and promote, you know, borrow from me. I have to,
You have to be an expert
and I finally
on
had that
something.
aha moment in the last few months, and
So true.
it is how do you, so now I've got a topic, and I actually did my first webinar a couple of weeks ago, which was key for me, because it forced me to sit down and outline my script, and
Right.
come up with my story.
I just did my first one about
Really?
2 or 3
And so-
weeks ago.
and that's
as well.
going to dovetail to a stand-up 45 to an hour presentation in
Uh-huh.
front of a group, and I hope to do that several
Wow.
times, but I did come up with one. It's how to attract private money. And so it's the audience is real estate investors, because I get calls all the time going, well, I know I can borrow from you, but how do I find an equity partner?
Yeah.
And so
I still get
I've
calls like
figured
that.
out how to come up with something that I think is saleable to help people, you know, to help people do that. So anyway, that for me, to answer your, you know, to respond, to agree with what you said, is pushing the envelope, public speaking, being an evangelist for what it
Okay,
is
guys, we
you're
gotta
doing.
kind
Yep.
of get
Yeah.
this back.
Yep,
Okay. So
absolutely.
again, we're gonna animate this a little bit more.
Okay.
And you're gonna stay right up to the mic like this. And
Right
then
up to
you
the
can
mic
go like
and
that.
then-
So I got a follow-up
Okay.
question to the goal setting thing. And
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
So
Okay.
we'll follow. Okay, ready? We're gonna, here we go. We're gonna 5 seconds of silence. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. I'm in the studio here with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, Brian Burke of Praxis Capital, and our guest Joel Yanowitz. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. And again, the theme is raunchy movies. What was the name of the hockey team Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? Anyone?
Yeah, so we blend a sports question with a movie question to make it 10
Not
times harder.
really.
You're killing me here.
Ducks?
No. Anyone?
Well, I'm a blank on that one.
Okay, the Chiefs. You have to see the movie.
Oh,
That's the one with the
of course. We should have known
That's
that.
the one with the Hanson brothers, the glasses, and the big
that's
nose. Remember
right.
that? Okay, the name of the Chiefs. All right. And Mark, you had a question for Joel. You want to ask him?
Yeah, Joel, we were talking about goal setting before the first commercial break, and what I wanted to expand on that, it's not so much just like writing down what's your goal for the year, your goal for your business, which I know a lot of us are told, you know, if your goal's not in writing, it's just a delusion. So I've got this goal in writing, but for me, it's also, in my business, it's the daily and the weekly planning and goal setting. It's how do I focus on growing my business as opposed to just doing all the, you know, answering emails and answering the phone and doing the daily technical stuff. And that's what I tend to find most challenging.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that. The biggest thing I found to be helpful to people is if you look at your calendar, your time by how much time you spend on everything, and put it into 2 simple buckets. How much time you're spending reacting to everything else coming at you, and how much time you are spending on creating the things that are important to you in the business. So where do you want to take the business? What are the critical few things that will move it ahead in the next 90 days, 30, 60, 90 days, short term? This is not the grand vision, the grand plan. This is how do you move the business in the direction you want to move it in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What are the critical few, 2 or 3 things you can do to move it in that direction, and then put those first?
Disconnect your email account.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes. Or at least
your
turn the
email off.
notifications off.
Yeah, turn all the notifications off except for.
Wait a minute, hold on, I'm answering some emails here. What was
Yeah,
that?
I missed that
see?
one. Right, right, yeah. And by the way, we were talking at the break about the notion of comfort zone, of doing things out of your comfort zone.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, right.
I'm not a big fan of that, of comfort as a standard of measurement of whether things are right. So sometimes people will say, well, I'm not really comfortable with that, so I'm not sure I should do it. Or sometimes people say, well, that's out of my comfort zone, so it must be good. I would say basing what you do or your judgment or assessment of an idea based on your comfort with it is a bad criteria. A better criteria is this one of the critical few, 2 or 3 things, that will move the needle on those goals over the next 30, 60, 90 days? And if so, I don't really care how I feel about it. I'm going
That's
to do
right,
it.
yeah.
So, and I totally agree with that. It's what are the 3 things I should be focusing on in my business as a way of moving forward? But what about the 35 other things? I mean, how do you work with guys who are saying there's so much to do and I'm not yet at a profit level where I can hire people that I need to do that? How do you work
Yeah.
within that quandary?
Yeah. 2 principles. One is design systems to handle repetitive tasks so that you're not always doing them. And the other is benign neglect. If you just didn't get to it, there are some things you're just not going to get to. And if the problem you're having is the things you're just not getting to are the most important things to move your business forward, you're better off doing those and neglecting other things and annoying or angering some people because you're not doing those things, but your business is moving forward.
Okay, I feel like I have to sit on the psychologist's couch here for a minute. Okay, I'd like to go on vacation at some point, but I can't because
Sorry.
I'm so exactly. My wife's been bugging me about that, but I get so busy and I get nervous that if I go on vacation and I don't bring the laptop or cell phone or whatever, I'm going to be so angst because I know when I get back I'm going to have to need another vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I call it, when you come back, that's the penalty phase.
Yeah,
that's right.
And is it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great
for your
question.
sanity,
Yeah.
I know you have to. Let's see. Okay, I want to ask you one question here. Passion is one of the words that we often use to describe entrepreneurs.
Yep.
But you say that it can be a mistake to focus on that. It seems to be. Let's see. It seems like being passionate would be a good thing. So what's so bad about being passionate?
Yeah, nothing bad about being passionate, but this is another one of these mythologies we have about entrepreneurs, that they're passionate about what they do. Now, if you look at successful entrepreneurs, after they've built their companies and made lots of money, they are in fact passionate about what they do. But if you look at when they started their company, most likely they were more interested, they were more curious, they were more wondering, it's kind of like dating. When you go out on your first date with somebody, not that there might be some passion there, but it's not a committed relationship. You're kind of like, yeah, I like going out with her. She was nice. I think I'd like to see her again. And entrepreneurs have that same relationship to their ideas, to their business. When you guys started your business, you didn't have this great passion for it. You're like, no, man, maybe I could try this. Maybe I could make a living doing this. I'll do it for a while before I quit my day job.
That's actually very true, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife said that as soon as she saw me, she says, "That's the guy I'm going to marry." You guys laugh, but it's so true.
Delimiting
It's true.
She still tells you that story. Huh?
Exactly.
And it's still working.
Tell me a bedtime story.
But so passion, it's not that passion is bad. The problem is, if I've got an idea and something I'm interested in doing, but I don't take action because I'm just not passionate enough. And I think that if I'm not passionate about this idea, I shouldn't do it because there's something wrong. I should wait till I have an idea I'm really passionate about, then I won't do anything. And entrepreneurs don't think that way. They act and they learn from what they do and they build on that. And over time, they see if their commitment and interest and passion for the idea grows. And they also see if the market's interest in their idea grows.
Okay. And for the audience, in case you just joined us, we're in the studio here with Joel Yanowitz, and Joel is a business consultant. And before we forget, we're not going to sign you off yet, but before we forget, want to find out how do people get a hold of you? How do you charge for your services, et cetera?
Let's see, the best way for people to get hold of me is our website, and a lot of these ideas are on just-start.com. Just start with a hyphen, just-start.com. And in fact, one of my good friends and colleagues wrote a book called Just Start that has a lot of these ideas in it, and you can download a free chapter on that, juststart.com
And then,
website.
this podcast will be up probably by next Thursday, and also will be up on YouTube, Best of Investing Radio Show.
So Joel, I have an idea for a business I want to start, and I think I might be good at it, don't know that I have passion for it yet, but what is the best way to start? How do you coach people on starting an entrepreneurial business endeavor?
Yeah, great question, great question. I suspect there are probably a lot of people listening to this who are in the same boat. I'm thinking of doing something, I've always had this idea and I don't know how to start. The answer is figure out the simplest first step you can take to test the idea. And we talk about smart steps, there's a couple things. One is, don't worry about making progress, worry about learning. So in the first step you say, I don't really know who my customers would be, or I don't know which features of this service people will really value. Rather than figure that out beforehand, try something, offer it to some people, even if you offer it for free to friends. Try this out, or you mock up some products in your basement, try to sell them at a farmer's market, anywhere, to get feedback from the market.
I don't have the patience. I just come up with the idea and say, write me a check.
Well,
Where's my $1 million?
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah.
you
How many checks have you gotten so far?
None. I guess I better start on your idea.
you've got the idea, and
Yeah.
you've just started, and
Yep.
you've got going. Now, here's the tough part.
Okay.
Everybody loves the entrepreneurial success story. You came up with a great idea, you started it, and you built it into something grand. But what most people don't realize is that along the way, you tripped over yourself, you failed, something didn't work. But the successful entrepreneurs are the ones that get past that and start again, or try again, or find a new way. So what do you say to people that are in that phase where they're like, gosh, I really gave this a shot, and it just didn't work for me, or I found this obstacle and I just can't seem to get past it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and it's really hard to not get discouraged. I've certainly been there myself many times.
Yeah, who hasn't?
Right, exactly. But the key is what you said, is learn from it. So if I'm really interested in this idea, and I think there's a there, so to speak, what can I learn from the fact that my first 3 attempts failed?
Yep.
You know, and if those failed, I now know something that I didn't know before. And in fact, I may know something that none of my competitors know.
That's right.
So how do I use that information?
But what did Edison, how many times did he fail?
Yeah.
A couple thousand?
Thousands of times,
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Well,
it's hysterical, the stories of what he actually tried to put as a filament in a light bulb. I don't remember half of them, but yeah.
Or
So
even
whatever
look
it
at,
was-
Abraham Lincoln also, how many times did he fail?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
you have
okay.
to fail. That's the only way that you improve on what it is that you're doing. Is something didn't work, and that forces you to change and find a different way to do it. And I think so many times people get caught up where they go, gosh, I'm having this difficulty, or this isn't working, and they pull back, or they just give up completely. And I think that's the critical juncture between a successful entrepreneur and one that goes back to work.
Yeah, and so, here's the question, here's the thing that we found really interesting, is how you design those steps so that if you fail, you can keep going.
Yes.
How do you live to fight another day? And it turns out there's a concept called acceptable loss, which is, I'm going to make this bet. How do I make the bet in such a way that if I'm completely wrong, I've either preserved enough capital, enough relationship credibility, enough personal energy and pride, whatever it is, I've preserved enough that I know I can take another step.
Intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
Joel, thanks for joining us in the studio again. Your website, one more time?
Just-start.com.
Great. All right, we are going to cut to our second commercial break, and here is the second trivia question. Again, the theme is raunchy movies. This one's a little easier. Sacha Cohen starred in this 2006. All I had to do was say Sacha Cohen. You guys know that.
That's a giveaway.
Yeah, hold on. In this 2006 movie as a spoof documentary as a fictional journalist traveling through the United States. What was the name of the movie? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. The weather's getting good. Check them out. 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. You had to write the answer to that one? Okay. To answer this question, Sacha Cohen starred in this 2006 movie as a spoof documentary as a fictional journalist traveling through the United States. What was the name of the movie? Again, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and remember to spell out your email address for us, and we will be right back. Okay. People, answers. Brian, I got a question for you, and I got a gift for you. That actually is not my gift. It's Kramer's gift to you, but you have to answer this question correctly.
Oh no.
No, you answer it now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good, he's not gonna put me on the spot.
No, because this is a question just for you.
Oh, okay.
What was the 50th anniversary for NASCAR? What year?
Oh, man.
Dun dun
I'm
dun
not
dun
gonna get
dun
this.
dun dun
It ain't
dun
gonna
dun 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 dun. Oh, it's coming. Oh, this is bad. This is right up your hill.
1985?
Give him another chance.
Okay, another chance.
So why did I miss it by one? If I go up and down by one? I'm not going to get any better if I get another chance, unless you're going to give me about 50 chances. Then I think I'm going to get it.
Oh, that's all I need. It's 50
Okay,
chances.
1987. 1991.
No,
95.
no,
99.
no. Stop helping him over there.
He's doing his best.
Okay, I'm getting to this. Now I'm going to start getting to this. I don't know which way to go.
Wait, isn't that the scarecrow? Which way did it go? This way?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the year after my daughter was born. Come on, hello.
Oh, I was so there for that.
Yeah. Oh, I got an embarrassing story about that.
I'm not going to get any
Is it
better.
on video?
I know it would have
no.
been somewhat recently, within the last 15 years.
Yes. Come on.
See, within the last 15 years, I got it right.
Should we give it to him?
Kramer says yes.
1998.
98? A 50th
He was going
anniversary.
to give it to you no matter what. He just wanted to put you
I just want to get rid of it. Okay, now I got to tell you this funny story because you said you weren't there, right?
Hey, thanks, Kramer.
Okay, you ready
You're
for it?
welcome.
You ready for this funny story? You ready for this? Okay, this is like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get back, just hang around. Again, get close to the mic if you want to ask a question. We'll get into email time. And we'll figure out what we're going to do in the
Fourth section, yeah, so we'll do email time in the fourth.
Excuse me. Okay. Good. I think that worked out pretty well. So, you ready? What did Hunter used to say? Mike's hot. That's
All
what he
right.
said, right? Okay. Here we
Fire
go.
away.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, my co-host, and Brian Burke, my co-host. And when we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. And again, the theme is raunchy movies. Sacha Cohen starred in this 2006 movie as a spoof documentary as a fictional journalist traveling through the United States. What was the name of the movie? Anyone?
Borat.
Borat, that is correct.
Yes.
And we were just talking off the air about how at some World Olympics or something, this poor lady, or girl, I guess she's a young
From
girl.
Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan wins the gold medal, and they don't have any music for the national anthem, and they played the spoof music from Sacha
Borat.
Cohen, from Borat. A little
how
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
Okay. All right. We are going to get right into email time here, and Mark, we received from a listener. We received this email. Looks like it's directed toward you. How can you pay your investors 8 to 10% in today's environment?
Good question. Well, it really boils down to the fact that, after the subprime meltdown in 2007, 2008, the banks largely stopped making loans to real estate investors, and that created a huge void in the supply of capital. And so what happened shortly after that is companies like mine, Pacific Private Money, we essentially said, well, look, we've got access to investors who like to earn high yields, who understand the nature of real estate and are willing to make loans secured by real estate. So the private lending market was literally redeveloped from what was the hard money industry years before, and started making loans to real estate investors. Now, the market essentially dictates the terms under which that the price of money, and private lenders essentially decided that the amount of interest they were willing to loan their money out was anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12%, and entrepreneurs who are buying real estate essentially decided it's a business decision for them, and for the folks who buy fix and flip, for example, they're expected to make a profit on their money, so they're willing to pay as high as 12% for that money, generally for a short-term use. So that's really the bulk of the market right now for private money is for people who like to buy fix and flip real estate. It's usually a loan term for under 12 months, and so we're in an environment where some of my investors don't want to commit to long-term investments, so they love the fact that it's a 6 to 12-month investment. They can make anywhere from 8 to 10, sometimes as high as 12, well, that's a little bit more rare.
And no load.
Right, and it's a no-load investment, and then I've got borrowers who know that they can make a profit. They can make anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 average profit on a fix and flip if it's done correctly, and they're willing to pay high rates of interest for the short-term use of that money. So it's essentially, it's a market that has been created in California and nationwide as a result of the banks pulling out of the market now. I do get borrowers who say, well, how come I can't borrow money at 6 or 7 or 8%? And that's a darn good question. If I had access to cheaper capital, I could probably accommodate them. But really, there's in the grand scheme of how you assess risk, generally there's a price at which the people who are willing to loan their money to a perfect stranger, albeit secured by real estate, that price it's been coming down, but it's been holding fairly steady the last several years at around average 10 to 12% cost of money, and then the investors then in exchange have been averaging about 8 to 10% that they earn on that investment.
And these investors, wouldn't you say that, I know it's a return versus risk calculation for them to loan their money out, but wouldn't you think that now with real estate prices being so far depressed, that there's so little downside risk in the marketplace, that this is really the safest time for those investors to be making an investment such as this?
I agree completely. I don't think there's ever been a better time than now to make a loan, to fund a loan to a real estate investor secured by real estate, because for two things. One, the air's been let out of the balloon. I mean, we've devalued in real estate in California anywhere from maybe 25% all the way to 80% in some markets that in the Bay Area. And then number two, we're not making 80% loans. We're not making 75% loans. In fact, most of the loans we do are at a max loan to value of 65% of today's value,
current value,
not
today's
2005 values,
Right.
but today's actual purchase price, not what they think it's worth. Because I do get guys that call me and say, if I'm buying a property at 65 cents on the dollar and you do 65% financing, will you make 100% loan to me? And the answer is no, we don't do it that way. It's whatever you negotiated for your purchase price, that's what the price is, and we'll loan you 65% of that, and we'll fund it with an individual's money. And so that's the safety factors and the protective equity that's available there to someone who's considering funding a private party secured loan like that. They're amazing.
And of course, we got to ask you, how do people get a hold of you?
If you are an investor looking at maybe how do I take advantage or how do I find out more information about what we call trust deed investing, that's where you're the bank, where you're making a loan to a borrower secured by real estate, you want to go to our investment website, and that's pacificprivateinvestments.com. That's all one word, and it's plural, pacificprivateinvestments.com, or call my office in Marin County. We're at 415-883-2150.
And if you go to bestofinvesting.com, you'll see the handsome Mark Hanf on there. Of course, you don't have the beard on there, but that's okay. And Brian, we received this email question for you. Why should I invest with Praxis Capital? Can't I just go to auctions myself? What's the advantage to dealing with your company? You have to give us a preface.
Don't do this at home. is the answer.
Right, yeah, this is one of those don't try this at home kind of things, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
First you have to do is to explain what this email question means.
because if we have a lot of new listeners that don't have any idea what I do, this question will be pretty confusing to them. So my company is Praxis Capital. We're a real estate private equity firm. We're focused primarily on the distressed real estate sector. So we purchase, rehabilitate, and resell or hold as long-term investments both single-family and multifamily real estate. But all of this stuff is all acquired through the distressed channel. Whether it's an apartment complex or a house, there's likely to be some kind of distress or foreclosure that's surrounding that purchase. So the question about going to the auction, a lot of the houses that we're purchasing, we are purchasing at the trustee sale auction, which is the what's commonly known as the courthouse steps auction. And it truly is a don't try this at home type of a business. It's not really a purchase transaction, it's really a legal transaction. So not like, or much unlike a conventional real estate sale where you get a title report and a pest inspection and all of these things that allow you to make an educated purchasing decision in a trustee sale type of a transaction. You get nothing. You just know the date, time, and place of the sale and the loan that's being foreclosed on, and it's up to you to get the rest of the information. So there's a vacuum of disclosure. There's nothing there. You've got to learn all this on your own. So, we've been doing this. I've been buying at foreclosure auctions for over 20 years. So being in this business for this long, you know what the pitfalls are, and you know how to avoid them.
Well, let me give you a little personal example here that happened almost 20 years ago for us. We thought we knew what we were doing, and we sure wish we would have known you, because we actually even had a real estate attorney who was part of this transaction. And he said, "Yeah, don't worry about those IRS liens. They'll come off."
Yeah, right.
And sure enough, when
famous last words.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So when we actually did the foreclosure, and we were the winning bidder, and we figured, okay, great, this is fantastic. Well, suddenly the IRS comes in and says, we think that property is worth more, and so we're not getting rid of our liens. I mean, if the property is way depressed, then they may not have done that. But we had to come up with $130,000 in IRS liens, and that pretty much wiped out all the profit.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, I know people today that have tried their hand at buying at the auctions because it seems so enticing. Wow, I can buy property at 70 cents on the dollar or 75 cents on the dollar, only to find out that after all the work, even if they did buy it correctly and there weren't any unexpected liens, the amount of money that they were making at the end really didn't justify all that work. I mean, you have to, you guys, Brian, at Praxis, you've got a team, you've got a system, you're able to get in and out of the properties. You can make the kind of profits per property that an individual is going to have a very difficult time doing if they haven't been doing it for years.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's a business that's unlike no other.
Really.
It's not one for the faint at heart.
In fact, I think they could make more money investing with Praxis than they might make trying this on their own.
Well, some of our investors have tried it on their own. That's why they're investing with us now.
So how do people get a hold of you if they want to invest in real estate auctions but not do it themselves?
The best way to contact us is through our website. It's www.praxcap.com. It's praxcap.com.
All right, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break, and here's the trivia question. Again, the trivia theme is raunchy movies. This 1982 movie features a group of high schoolers who seek to lose their virginity, which leads them to seek revenge on a sleazy nightclub owner and his redneck sheriff brother for harassing them. Hint, think pig. You knew this answer already, didn't you?
Is there a movie called Edward Brown?
Yeah, no, hey, come on. Mark, I'm a little concerned for you because you know these answers to these movies like right on the spot there. Okay, call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190, because the first three callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort for answering this question. This 1982 movie features a group of high schoolers who seek to lose their virginity, which leads them to seek revenge on a sleazy nightclub owner and his redneck sheriff brother for harassing them. Hint, think pig. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and remember to speak slowly and spell out your information, especially your email address. Do it letter by letter, please. And Brian, you're shaking your head no.
I'm just thinking this is a farm animal question. I don't even know this one either.
And we will be right back. All right, answers.
Yeah, I would say that national was a little bit surprising to me. So we can talk a little bit about that. I had a question I didn't get a chance to ask Joel. Maybe just talk a little bit. Maybe just jump back in a little.
Sure. Okay, ready? And away we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Brian Burke. And when we cut to the third and final commercial break, we asked this trivia question again. The theme is raunchy movies. This 1982 movie features a group of high schoolers who seek to lose their virginity, which leads them to seek revenge on a sleazy nightclub owner and his redneck sheriff brother for harassing them. Hint, think pig. And Brian's so straight-laced, he thought the movie was Babe. That's not correct. But Mark, he's seen a lot of these movies. I'm just kidding. So Mark, what is the answer?
Yeah, it would be Porky's.
It would be Porky's. That is correct. And we were talking off the air about the movie Borat and how the running of the Jews and all that with the horns. And actually, that stuff is really true. There were people who think that Jews have horns.
That's just
Okay.
science weird.
That is very strange. Okay, Mark, see, you have an article, or is it Brian? You got the article.
Yeah, we both have it actually. We're sitting here just talking about it during the break about Case Shiller and CoreLogic coming out with some interesting figures and house prices and price to rent ratios are back to levels not seen since the 1990s, and I think we're seeing this from a practical standpoint. In Northern California, we're buying a lot of property now to hold as rentals, and these are single-family houses. And I tell you, if you would have asked me 5, 6, 7 years ago about buying single-family houses to hold as rentals in California, I would have said you were crazy. There's no way. There's no way that the economics of that work at all. But now you've got the prices have fallen so far. In fact, up to 70% down in some of the markets that we've been buying in, and yet all the time that was happening, rents have either stayed level or actually climbed. So with increasing rents and decreasing prices, this so-called price to rent ratio is actually out of whack with historical norms, but into whack, for lack of a better way to put it, with
Crack
what
is whack.
right, with what makes financial sense. And it actually makes financial sense now to own rental property when in the past that just really hasn't been the case at all. And I think Mark, you've been in this business a long time like me, and I've never seen it this good from that perspective.
Well, no, and I remember even in the 70s, even though I was a teenager in the 70s, but that was, my dad was in real estate investment and development and such, and that's when the first kind of, wave of seriously high appreciation started to happen in California.
Right.
And I think after that, you just really it never made sense to buy California real estate for rental income. And so we are truly in a unique environment now where, rents have followed, basically, inflation, all this time and hasn't gone down. Whereas, as you said, we've got now housing prices that are somewhere in the high 1990s.
Yeah, in fact, this article points to that. It says, in real terms, all appreciation in the 2000s and more is gone. So essentially what they're saying is we're back to 1999 or 2000 prices. And if you recall, there was a run-up in prices in 1990 to 1993, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then there was another run-up in 2002 through 2004. Well, if you reset prices all the way back to 1999 levels, you essentially wiped out the entire 2000s. But what's interesting is we've gone back and looked at the properties that we've been buying, and we've looked in the history to see when did this house last sell and how much did it sell for when it last transacted, and what about the time before that, and what about the time before that, and then we compare that to how much we paid for the house. And what we found a number of examples where we've bought houses for less than that house sold for in 1987.
Wow.
And so now you've wiped out 23 years of house price appreciation and we're reset all the way back to that level.
Brian, I've never asked you this question, but when you rent out the houses, how much of a deposit generally can you get from your renters?
Well, the law says you can only collect a deposit equivalent to 2 months worth of rent. So if it's $1,000 a month rent, you can collect a $2,000 security deposit, or you could collect a $1,000 security deposit and $1,000 last month's rent.
Yeah.
No matter how you word it, you can't take more than 2 months.
But are you finding that people can come up with that money?
Yeah, we are. I mean, let's look at what's going on out there in the world. How long have people been going without paying for housing at all?
Yeah.
A lot of people have quite a bit of money saved
So
up.
you're not buying those mansions where the rent's $5,000 a month, and
Right, or the house that costs $700,000 but still only rents for $3,500. No, we're not in that market. We're in the $125,000 that rents for $1,400 type of a market.
What I thought was interesting from that Case Shiller report was, and a little bit disturbing, is that they're certainly not willing to call a bottom to the market. And I know this is a nationwide.
I'll call it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked at last week's show about in the Bay Area that at least, from what I'm seeing and from my own, vantage point as someone who makes a lot of loans to a lot of real estate investors, I don't see further depreciation in pricing, at least not at the entry level and mid-level market, maybe on the higher end, which has been the San Francisco, certain markets in San Francisco or Tiburon or Hillsborough, or where prices are in the multiples of millions. That's one thing, because that market still isn't moving quite as fast. But in the market where most people are playing, I certainly am seeing a stabilization of prices. I don't know if you are too.
I am absolutely seeing a stabilization of prices. In fact, in the bottom market tier, even a little bit of price increase over the last 3 or 4 months. The upper price bracket and the secondary move-up market still a little bit soft. But I'll tell you this: I just got back from Chicago, and I had some personal meetings with some of the brightest real estate minds in the country. These are the guys that are running the multi-billion-dollar funds. And in talking with these guys, it's very interesting. They certainly do believe that the real estate market is sitting at a bottom right now, and these are some of the smartest guys you're going to find out there. So, and I tend to agree with them.
Well, and then you've got the Phoenix market, which guys I know who are investing there have told me prices are going up.
Prices are up, yeah, that's true. Prices are going up in Phoenix of all places. Vegas, not yet, but watch out, it'll happen.
There's so much inventory
There
there.
Well,
is.
and then I think some of the little markup in pricing that you mentioned that you're starting to see in the lower end, I think part of that is a factor of we're still really waiting for the banks to just start opening the spigots and letting out some of that pent-up inventory back on the market. And maybe they're smarter than I am, and figuring, well, let's create that demand. Let's wait for the prices to uptick a little bit, and we'll release more.
You know what they're doing? They're waiting for that big capital source. These guys, like the guys I was talking to get their money ready to put out in the market to absorb that inventory, and that's about to happen.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Joel, thanks for joining us in the studio.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And here are our thoughts for the day. I must not have been a very good parent, because when the kids were little, I gave them some brandy to help them fall asleep. Come 5 o'clock the next day, they started to ask when we were having happy hour again. And then also when they were little, I was so cheap that I told them every time they heard the sound of the bell for the ice cream truck, that meant that they were out of ice cream. I better take some parenting classes, I'll tell you.
I thought you told them to run in front of the truck.
Right, yeah. Then I wouldn't have to buy ice cream.
See, you weren't so bad after all, were you?
Okay, I like that. All right, and as a side note, our play, The Living Last Supper, has been canceled, unfortunately. So don't show up April 1st at Valley Baptist in San Rafael at 6 p.m. or you'll be by yourself. Go there at 9 a.m. for regular church instead, okay? And tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. And Bruce Robbie from his company is going to be on our show. And he's going to be talking about the stock market and other financial investment vehicles. And thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. All right.
It's a wrap.
Good job.
That was fabulous.
Do we have to get our cut shots, Kramer?
Yeah.